Hello, my name is Crazy Owl, and this video is a 10 subscriber celebration video. And for this video, we're going to be doing 10 builds. I have 10 minutes for each build, and they're each on a 10 by 10 plot. And that's a lot of 10s, because this is the 10 subscriber celebration. And if you are one of those 10 or now 16 subscribers, thank you so much. And if you are not one of those 10 or 16 now subscribers, please consider subscribing. I make building videos and survival videos and all around Minecraft videos. So unless you either hate Minecraft or only watch PvP and parkour videos, I probably have something that might interest you. At least consider checking out my other videos. And again, thank you so much for 10 and now 16 subscribers, and also thank you if you watched the other video and or left a comment, because it made me so happy to see how many views the other video got. I'm not actually earning any money from this currently, so I'd just like to say all of this just makes me happy because it makes me happy, not because it earns me money. Other than that, let's get right into the video, which is going to be a time lapse right now, and then I will talk more. So this is the finished first build. It is a little bridge which goes over a little river that you know I made because you probably watched the time lapse unless you decided to skip it. And then I just added some bushes, spammed some bone meal in the water and out of it. And on here I decided to go with some fences and stuff rather than just the sides to make it more interesting. But there's not too much to explain with this build. I hope you like this build, and let's get right on to the next one. This is the second build, and it's sort of like a bit of a trading stand thing, and I guess you could use it as a shop as well, but it'd be cool to have someone actually there, like, trading stuff. And on the inside, I have a bunch of chests and barrels, and I also did the path stuff on the inside. And then I have some bushes over here and a larger path, and I used some stone buttons for rocks. And I also put grass on the path, which I don't think you can bone meal coarse dirt, but I placed it manually. And then because I had an extra few seconds, I put a couple coarse dirt in the grass. And with the bushes, because I'm not allowed to go on the red line, I did have to leave the jack-o'-lanterns exposed. I realized that I had a bush over here that went on the red line, but I fixed it, and it still looks okay from this side, so I'm going to count it as still a valid build. And then I just did like a checkered roof, but let's not take too long and let's get right into the next build. For the third build, I made a quartz fountain, and then around it I just added some grass and roses and stuff. But that's not really important. The main part is the fountain, which I made a pretty big circle, and then I originally had some water coming out of the sides, but it didn't really look symmetrical, so instead I had the water come out of the top, and I think this looks pretty cool. I do wish it was a little bit shorter. I didn't even take the full 10 minutes for this one. I only took like 8.5 minutes or so, and even that, some of that was not even really doing much. It was doing stuff that I would end up destroying later. And this isn't my favorite build, but it's actually pretty cool. So that's it for this build. Let's get right into the next one. For the fourth build, I decided to do some sort of ancient structure, and I'm not really sure what it exactly would have been. It might have been a place for religion, or a home, or a community building, but I think part of the fun of it is that you don't really know exactly what it is. And then on the inside, I just added some candles to add more interest. I bone mealed the outside and added some rose bushes, just like I did by the fountain, and that's pretty much it for this build. So for the fifth build, I actually barely took more than half the 10 minutes that I had, and I hope that you guys aren't angry at me for not using the full 10 minutes sometimes, but I think, honestly, I would have just waited for the other 5 minutes, and you would have been watching me stand for half the time lapse. And this build is pretty much just a little farm, and I like building farms in this style where almost, like, they're not completely all plants. There's some like coarse dirt, maybe flowers, even though I didn't include any flowers in this one. And I think it just adds a little bit more of a less crowded vibe. And I also added a little path at the front, and of course, as I always do, bone mealed the heck out of the area next to it. So that's pretty much it for this build, but we're halfway done now, so let's get on to the second half of the build. For the sixth build, I did a sort of nether-themed enchanting setup, and I guess some of this isn't really that nethery, like this is just dark oak and spruce wood, and that's not a nether wood, but I decorated the outside with like soul sand and soul soil and nylium and a bunch of nether plants, so I'm still going to call it nether-themed, and I do really like it. I think it could have been better, and it's not the best enchanting setup I've ever made, but I do like it. 7th build, I decided to build a little railway station, and from the front, which is this angle, it doesn't look too great. I do think I did a pretty good job decorating with the gravel and the bushes and all that, but when you really see it is from this angle. And there's some barrels and stuff on the inside just for decoration, and there's a track going through. And even though I'm definitely not a redstoner, I did do a teeny bit of redstone for this. And basically what happens is when you ride your minecart and you go here, and then you go down here, and then you press this lever to switch the track, then you press this button which turns that on, and then you come out this way. And that way, you can switch the track with being able to stop, and then someone can get out and someone else can get in, or you can just continue going. For the 8th build, I decided to do a little house of some sort, because I haven't really done too many solid full builds that are actually a building, other than the train station and I guess the market stall thing. But this is just a little house. There's only a 3x3 space inside, so it wasn't too easy to decorate, but I have a little chair and table, and then more of a chair to sit on rather than to eat by, and then for a bed, I have this little loft bed thing, but unfortunately you can't actually sleep in it because there's no place for you to respawn. And then to decorate the outside, I used a similar style to the one I used for the train station. I just put some bushes down and some buttons as stones and bone meal and a couple bits of coarse dirt, and then I also made a path out the front. So for the 9th build, I decided to make a little pond, and I decorated it with plenty of things like drip leaf and lily pads and bushes and sugarcane. And with the sugarcane, I put string on top of the shorter ones so that they didn't continue growing. And then I also added some stone buttons as rocks, which I always do, and I added some bone meal to the grassy parts. And I really like it. But on to the 10th and final build. For the 10th and final build, I did a large doghouse, and it's not really the normal design a doghouse would be. It has 2 floors, and the top floor is almost a balcony, and then on the bottom floor there's an outdoor area without a roof, a sort of outdoor area with a roof, and then an area that's completely indoors. And it's a very large doghouse, but I still think it looks cool. Before we end the video, I want to do a quick walkthrough of all the builds we made today with shaders. So I'm going to turn on some shaders and then we'll take a tour. So this is what all the builds look like with shaders, and I just want to do a quick look at each of these builds. And first of all, we have the bridge, which is pretty cool, and I especially like how the water looks with the shaders. It looks a lot more motion and realistic, and also it adds more interest to the build. The second build is this market stall, which I had to remove the chests because they don't really work with the shaders, but the rest of it still looks cool. And the decoration I also think is done pretty well. This fountain wasn't my favorite build, but I still like it, especially with the shaders. I feel like the water looks like it moves faster, and also there's some wave in the actual bottom part of it, so I think it adds a little more realism and makes it look a little more interesting. This fourth build is actually one of my favorite builds just because of how it looks with the shaders, and also because it's pretty unique. You don't see this kind of build in every Minecraft world, and also I really like how the roses look. This fifth build, the farm, I really like. It's nothing special. I've actually built this style of farms a lot of times in the past, but it still looks pretty cute. This sixth build, the nether-themed enchanting setup, is one of my favorites because it's so unique. At least compared to the other builds in this area, in this world, in this subscriber celebration video. It's the only one that isn't decorated like the overworld, and also you usually see enchanting setups either like fantasy forest themes or just inside someone's house, and I think this might be a cool way to jazz up your enchanting setup if you want to. This seventh build is a train station, and I had to remove the chests in here as well because same reason as I had to remove the chests in the other place. But I'm really proud of this build because even though it's not much, I did do a little bit of redstone. The eighth build is this little house, which is very similar to some of the other houses I've made in the past, but I do think it's cool that I was able to fit so much in such a small space, because most houses take up a larger area than a 10 by 10 plot. The ninth build was this was this pond, and I really like this because it's the only build in here that is completely natural looking and doesn't have any man-made aspects to it. All of them have decoration of some sort, but this one doesn't have any sort of building. It's just a pond. And I not only like that, but I think it looks way better than the naturally spawning Minecraft ponds. No offense, Minecraft. I mean, it's got to be pretty hard to code any sort of pond to spawn in a video game, but they still don't look great. Maybe they'll improve with the new update, but I don't know. And then the 10th build, the final build, was this doghouse. And you've just seen this a couple minutes ago, but this is what it looks like with shaders. There's less light in this one because I didn't put any non-natural lights in it, but I still think it looks cool. This probably has the least change, at least in my mind, just because there's no water, there's no lanterns or anything, it's just natural light, but I still think it looks cool. And those are all the builds that we did today. And I'd like to say, once again before we go, thank you so much for 10 and now 16 subscribers. I mean, the last video did great and got us all those subscribers. So if you saw that video and you liked it or left a comment as well, I'd like to thank you for that. And please leave a comment if you enjoy this video, and let me know what you'd like to see more of, because I have a lot of things that I enjoy doing on this channel: survival, building, build tours, tutorials, pretty much anything other than PvP or parkour, because I'm terrible at PvP and parkour. I guess I could even try speedrunning if you guys really want it, but I don't think that would go very well. Other than that, I really hope you have a great day, and thank you for 10 subscribers.